day. It's cold here at Hockenheim. What kind of an effect is that going to have on what they can do in terms of generating heat into those tyres? Alongside me is David Addison. As I said right at the start of the programme, David, unlike last year where it was all done 2 rounds before the end, this year it goes to the wire.
New format, of course, with the 2 races each weekend. This is the shorter today, as you say, the longer race tomorrow. The cooler conditions, I think, will mean that they can get a few more lapped mileage out of the tyres in each of the runs. We've had the 2 free practice sessions, one this morning, Paul di Resta topping the times. Jamie Green topped yesterday's, which was at the end of yesterday. Jamie a 10th quicker yesterday than Paul di Resta was this morning. But those free practice times, quicker by about a 10th than last year's pole lap for the equivalent end-of-season event of Miguel Molina when he was in the 33.3s. Again, you come back to whether people were on new tyres or old and what parts they're running or what run plan they were on during free practice. But it's intriguing that Jamie Green, who of course started the year so well, he's out of the hunt for the championship, but he went so strongly here at the back end of last year and almost won the last race of the championship. It looks like he means business this year. He's nothing to prove in terms of his pace. We know that he's quick. It's going to be interesting to see as well how Audi works the team situation with Mortara and Ekstrom. Absolutely.
Pascal Wehrlein finished free practice P12. Eduardo Mortara P4. I know we can't read too much necessarily into free practice, but it's a little psychological boost, David. It's going to help, isn't it?
I would have thought so, certainly. And Mercedes will have a look at this. And the DTM's weekend, I think, is going to be a very strategic one because you've not only got, and you're right to talk about the Drivers' Championship, but you've got the Manufacturers' Crown as well, and BMW could well wrap that up, which seems strange in a sense because we've spent a lot of the year talking about the disappointment of BMW relative to last year when Marco Wittmann strolled to the championship. But actually, when the BMWs have been low on weight and gone to BMW-friendly circuits, all the cars have been up there and they've scored really well. So in the Manufacturers' Championship, BMW is in the box seat. There's a lot that can shake out over the course of this weekend. So from the pit wall, they're going to be more tactical and strategic than ever before.
Right. We saw Uli Fritz there on the pit wall, the head of Mercedes DTM, as we watch the man that comes here top of the points chart, and that's an indicator as we go on the BMW pit wall of just how blooming cold it is, David.
Yes, that's not rubbing your hands together saying no. Let's get on with this, this is going to be good. It's not very warm here, and it's been a pretty cold day yesterday, and the forecast has got a bit of rain in it over the weekend, maybe the odd drop or 2. Qualifying, though, this year has been absolutely fascinating because out of the 16 sessions that we've had 13 different drivers that have taken a pole position. The doublers are Jamie Green, Mike Rockenfeller and Miguel Molina. Audi drivers all. Read into that what you will. It's interesting. There's Pascal Wehrlein, who has got the...
Sorry, my exclamation as Farfus really lit the back end up there. Did a power slide that any one of us would be very proud of. So he tries to generate some warmth into that BMW. And sorry, I interrupted you.
I was going to say, he's not yet had a pole position. So this is the session in which to change that, just to get himself right up to the front of the grid. Now, you also come back to weights. Remember that depending on where you finish, the cars and team drivers carry weight, not just you.
No.
So we have had occasions, understandably, where drivers have sacrificed a place to lose a little bit of weight going into the next round of the championship. So we'll factor the weights in as we work our way through the session. But Jamie Green, if you take him as the man that's been quickest thus far this weekend, Jamie comes into this race on 1125 kilos. Not the heaviest, because you've got Wehrlein on 1130, but he's on the heavier end of the scale. Just another thing to catch up on before we get into the meat of qualifying. Yesterday we had somebody different driving a Mercedes, Esteban Ocon, who we have seen doing taxi laps over the course of the year, reigning FIA Formula 3 European champion. He was driving Danny Juncadella's car. Danny was not well. It's a touch of food poisoning, we understand. But anyway, Danny has made a decent recovery overnight, and so he's back in for the rest of the weekend, which is good for him. It's a bit of a shame for Ocon, because it would have been really good to see what he could do after free practice yesterday. But anyway, the Danny Juncadella Mercedes has got Danny back behind the wheel. Some of the Mercedes running different liveries this weekend. They've all caught soccer fever. And you've seen Matthias Ekstrom venture out of the pit lane. And if he stays out and doesn't bail for the pit lane, Augusto Farfus is going to offer up the first proper lap time of this session. He's got the BMW of Antonio Felix da Costa behind him. And Farfus, 4 times a winner in the DTM, working his way now up towards the end of the lap.
Going back to the Esteban Ocon, of course, he is the official Mercedes reserve DTM driver, and Whilst, of course, it's good to see Daniel Juncadella back in the car. He must be feeling just a little bit disappointed, Esteban Ocon, that he's not going to get a race run out this weekend when perhaps he thought that the chances were there for him to do so. But it's good that Daniel Juncadella has made a sufficient recovery to be in the car. 1:33.126 then from Augusto Farfus. He didn't bail, David,
no.
And he does give us the first lap time to look at as Eduardo Mortara then, P2 in the championship as Toto Wolff looks on. Makes his way out, and we're on board now with the championship leader Pascal Wehrlein around the Parabolica, heading up towards the hairpin. Look at the focus in the eyes of Pascal Wehrlein then as he brakes now. Guick's Mercedes-Benz.
I don't think he's totally committed to the lap. I wouldn't have thought that was the best apex through the corner, but it is a start-up lap. Maxime Martin, winner at the Nürburgring in the BMW, he has now gone top, incidentally, on a 1:32.889, and he is in one of the 3 lightest cars. He's only on 12.5 kilos. The lightest cars are his and Martin Tomczyk's BMWs and the Audi of Adrien Tambay, who's had a pretty ropey year, really.
Of course, it was Maxime Martin and Pascal Wehrlein that very nearly came to blows at the Nürburgring, following a little bit of panel rubbing between the two of them. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and to be fair to Pascal, he did apologise afterwards, realising that actually he turned into a space that was BMW occupied.
Right.
So here is Wehrlein then. Paffett now is topping, as Paffett goes quickest. 1:32.889 now for Gary Paffett, which relegates Maxime Martin to P2 momentarily.
And third is Timo Scheider, who was looking good this morning in free practice. This is a replay of Wehrlein through the Sachs curve. And we look at that because he runs it out wide and just kicks up the dust a little bit on the outside. That lap by Wehrlein was good enough for 11th. It's now 12th because De Resta has gone quickest. So Paul De Resta, who topped FP2, is now fastest in qualifying. This is, of course, the sole session for today's race. There's an equivalent session tomorrow morning, so there's a lot more track time offered up these days in terms of qualifying and racing for the drivers, and crucially for the fans, who felt last year a bit short-changed, really, because there was virtually no DTM running at all on a Friday.
Yes, you're right. They get to see an awful lot more of these cars out on track on any given DTM race weekend. This is Matthias Ekstrom then, who is P3 in the championship points. So Matthias Ekstrom, as I mentioned, one of the old guard, if you like, in the DTM. Well, that 1:33.167 P8.
But he's already down to 9th because others improve. I was about to suggest that Ekstrom's qualifying has perhaps not been that good this year. There have been days where, more than one of them, he's been a long way down the order. We had him on the back row, didn't we, at Ossersleben? So this is a weekend where he's got to deliver. He's got to come good in this session. His World Rallycross team is away in Italy, so he's got to put that out of his mind and purely focus on his own racing.
In fairness, you go as Wehrlein there takes almost liberties in terms of track limits. Go back to that Ossersleben and Matthias Ekstrom on the back row, P7 for Pascal Wehrlein, of course. What a lot of these drivers have done and what they've chosen to do is run very late in the qualifying session. And if there then is a problem running late in the qualifying session, it's all over, isn't it? You know, you're only going to get your one run, and if that doesn't all hook up, then, you know, you've lost any opportunity perhaps. I mean, you know, now we've only got 13 and a bit minutes left in this qualifying.
Yeah, 20 minutes is not long, as you suggest, and by the time you've taken out an out lap and an installation lap and then done 2 or 3 runs, you haven't got long. Plus, you might want an extra set of tyres, so you've got to factor in an in-lap, the pit stop, an out-lap, and then cycle everything up to temperature again. So, yes, you don't get that much time in a 20-minute session. Ekstrom Ossersleben was an electronic gear shift problem, wasn't it, that they only discovered at the start of his one run at about the halfway point. Well,
too late then.
Indeed. I mean, even had he gone out at the start, I think in a 20-minute session it would still have been an issue. But, yes, you do leave something to chance. This is Ekstrom then. He's hard at work. He's 8th fastest. The last lap, he was down in the final sector.
Well, he said going into this weekend, of course, it is Pascal's championship to lose, and he's going to do his level best to do everything he can to make sure he does lose that. So, Matthias Ekstrom, Paul De Resta then is P1, and on board, fantastic splitter cam that we have here right down low on the very, very front of the car. Of course, Mercedes using this opportunity to advertise their Stars and Cars event that comes up in December.
Mortara, who is second in the championship and of course ahead of Ekstrom, he is only 17th. You can see the graphic there with the order. We've had two cars that haven't even done a time yet, going back to your point about leaving it late, because we are now with just under 12 minutes of the session to go. This is the man that's fastest, Paul di Resta, but Mortara needs to get a wriggle on as well here.
So Paul di Resta then bails out. He currently tops the times with a 1:32.766 for Paul di Resta. And here is Eduardo Mortara, who, as you said, has got to look lively, hasn't he?
Well, he's lively enough at turn one, isn't he?
Yes, he is, rather.
Finds all the curb. You can see the suspension kick in as he bounces his way back towards the road. And the Italian, who is always one of the stars of GT racing at Macau every year, he is on the same weight, incidentally, as Ekstrom, so 11:27.5, just fractionally lighter than Wehrlein's Mercedes.
Whoa. Ekstrom meaning business then. Looking at the sector times, didn't think that was going to be anything too special, but it's actually given him P3.
Yeah.
He's very, very conscious of the rear view mirror there, isn't he?
And he's less than a tenth drift of di Resta, who is in the pit, so Ekstrom then needs to, if he can, squeeze one more lap out of this set of tyres. How's Bruno Spengler getting on? He has not yet done a lap time. He's one of the two drivers we've not seen a proper lap from. He was here a fortnight ago in the last round of the ADAC GT Masters Championship, back behind the wheel of a BMW Z4 and was going strongly, driving for the Schubert team. But Spengler here back in his familiar M4 DTM. Into the Mercedes arena he comes. First sector personal best, but it would be, given that he's not yet done a lap time. What we need to see is where a 20.3 registers against the best. Well, he's lost 2 tenths in the first sector. In the second sector, he's 6 tenths down. So it's a start-up lap, this, isn't it?
So the order then is di Resta, Molina, Ekstrom, Paffett. Then it's Martin, Timo Scheider, P6. Then it's Jamie Green, Blomqvist, Adrien Tombe, and Pascal Wehrlein rounding out the top 10 then.
So Spengler up towards the end of a flying lap, but it's the next one that we're more interested in, because that puts him 20th ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa and Timo Glock. But now Spengler's going to be on a mission. How's Miguel Molina getting on? He's done 2 personal bests. One is a 10th down, the other is a 10th down. So let's see whether he can be an improver. He comes across the timing line. He goes quickest of all. That last sector hooks up nicely for him, and so he does a 1:32.728. Molina goes quickest, and that means that he's 400ths up on di Resta.
So this man then goes to the top with just under 10 minutes to run in this qualifying session. There's Pascal Wehrlein back in the garage, and the team working furiously there under the watchful eye of Toto Wolff.
22 cars in the entry, 22 in the session, 21 covered by less than a second. Eduardo Mortara will be out again in a moment. Matthias Ekstrom has a quick look at the data. And Bruno Spengler, meantime, hustles on. Spengler is 20th. Personal best in Sector 1. So there should be an improvement here. In terms of weight, he again, he's in a light car, 11.15. So it's the second heaviest bracket you can be in. So he doesn't carry too much compared to the opposition. Bruno Spengler up towards the end of the lap then. We've also got Paul di Resta, Dave, who's just done a personal best in Sector 1, so he's Mercedes back on track. Di Resta not done yet.
Yes, and he has been quick. So Molina leads, here comes Bruno Spengler. Let's get this time then. Well, it's an improvement. He goes from P21 to P12, but a 1:33.089, proving just how close it is only good enough for P12. Okay, here is Martin Tomczyk, who's way down the order at the moment.
But he's only just come out. I think he's only done a couple of laps, so he's a late arrival. And there's another one that's only just ventured out as well. Marco Wittmann has only just got into the session as well and done a time. So BMW saving a set of tyres for a couple and sending them out late. So Molina it is then, who tops the times. So you've got Audi, Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Audi, BMW, Audi, Mercedes, and the 10th placed car is the Mercedes of Pascal Wehrlein. Not great news when you've got lots of Audis ahead of you. But where is he in relation to Mortara? Mortara is 20th. So in the remaining 7 minutes, I think it's going to be the Castrol Edge Audi that is the one to watch to see where the man that's second in the championship can get to.
Okay, so we await Matthias Ekstrom to rejoin with 7 minutes to do. Just moments ago, of course, we saw the Pascal Wehrlein car in the garage as well. So Matthias Ekstrom with 132.844 is P3. Expecting to see him out again.
To us would be nice if we could do it inverted.
Yeah, we are planning, but will be really tight timing-wise.
So Matty is talking to the engineers. He knows what he would like to do,
yes.
But the point is made. You've got an out lap.
Yeah.
You've got to get the tyres up to temperature, and that's going to eat into the remaining 6.5 minutes. It will be tight, and of course the other danger late in the session is that you get traffic as well. And that's why Mortara's 20th is looking a bit risky.
Well, we have just under 6.5 minutes left to run.
And Mortara is still in the pit lane. You see the super slow-mos. The Hankook tyres have been hard at work. The AP brakes get a real pounding up at the Spitzkehrer. And the BMW engineers looking at Maxime Martin being the best of them at the moment. The best BMW driver is the very, very quick Belgian. Now a double DTM winner, and he's currently 5th fastest. There's Wehrlein, who is still 10th, but they could do with him being back on track. If anybody else improves, it's a bit vulnerable.
If he was out on track now, he wouldn't have huge traffic issues because the majority of the cars are in the pit lane. But it's being left late, isn't it, for one last throw of the dice right at the very end here.
Yes, it is, but it's the same for lots of others.
Yeah, of
only
course.
now do we start to see drivers creeping out of the pit lane. There is Maxime Martin, who is back out. Scheider is on track again. Molina is on track again.
And Martin goes quickest.
Indeed so. He has now done a 32.637. So the BMW, remember it's light, 89 thousandths up on everybody else. So Maxime Martin on a roll, of course, after his Nürburgring win, coming here and not carrying much weight. So he's in a good position in the RMG run BMW. Moscow he won at last year. This year it was the Nürburgring. Was leading until the car retired the Spa 24 Hours this year in the Mark VDS Racing BMW Z4. Mark VDS Racing sadly now a team no more. It was very, very disappointing after doing a huge amount for not just GT racing actually, but also Maxime Martin, because he was for many years in GT racing linked so strongly to Mark VDS Racing, and it really helped form his reputation. Right, Wehrlein is back on track. You're rubbing your hands because you're looking forward to his lap, or you're cold?
A bit of both, to be honest.
Right? Okay.
But with just under 4.5 minutes left to go, it's going to be absolutely crucial that Pascal nails it. The only opportunity, the only time he's going to get now left in this session. So it's Martin then, who is P1 with a 132.637.
Copy that. Still at the moment P1, very good first lap. Box this lap.
The engineer copied that. I thought it was the clangers. I'm not quite sure what he understood from that message. But anyway, Maxime Martin has got one lap to come in. Mortara is back on track.
If Wehrlein's left it late, then they've left it very late for Eduardo Mortara.
One shot.
Yes, that's all it's going to be.
And there, look, is
the traffic.
you know. And it's not like the teams don't know this is going to happen. They have, and we've got it up in the comms booth, a GPS map. They know the position of every car, so they've got to try and release the cars so that they're not in traffic. And yet, 3, 4, 5 all go out in a line. I suppose you can't legislate for when people in the pit lane release a car, but even so, Ekstrom is going to find it a bit of an issue. Wehrlein potentially will. Mortara potentially will as well. Martin could have done exactly the right thing there by doing the lap before it got really busy.
The point I was making at the very start of the programme.
Indeed so. Timo Scheider going strongly this weekend. He's 6th fastest, and he's on a gun lap here because he's done a personal best in Sector 1. And he's a 10th up in the first sector over Molina, who is also on a quick lap. So Scheider in the Auto Test magazine Audi is set to be an improver. Of course, he had to skip the Moscow round. He was away playing snooker or something, and Antonio Giovinazzi took over the chassis. He is behind Audi driver Nico Müller on track as he works his way through the stadium. Scheider, 2 personal bests here. It's hooking up nicely.
So Timo Scheider then into the final 2 turns. What can the Audi driver do here? P7, P8. He goes down, but now he crosses the timing line. He goes P2 with a 1:32.711.
While you were talking about him, Mike Rockenfeller and Antonio Felix da Costa both went up. That's why he dropped initially.
Yes.
But that was a good effort. So he's second, and he's 74 thousandths back on Martin, and he's 15 thousandths quicker than Miguel Molina, just to illustrate how tight this all is. So pole is a 32.6, and that means that all 24 are covered by less than a second.
We're on board with Pascal Wehrlein, who is the man that really needs to improve. So the number 94 car, of course, all the DTM drivers choosing permanent numbers for the first time this season as the team look on. Well, Sector 1 and Sector 2, 20.4, 44.1. He's going to have the opportunity to get one lap in after this one.
It's not sparkling, is it?
No, it isn't.
He's up the curve there as well. Just wonder how much the pressure is starting to tell a little bit on Pascal this weekend. A relatively young driver, isn't he? But he's been a very, very good asset to the DTM and indeed to Mercedes. He will squeeze one and only one more lap out of this. Now look at that, the last sector, Dave, a personal best. So the momentum carried on to the next lap. Ekstrom has got one last shot at it as well, and he's not sparkling in the sectors either. So Wehrlein will cross the line to take the flag before Ekstrom will. And where is he in relation to Eduardo Mortara?
So there is Wehrlein is making his way around the Parabolica now.
Mortara is behind Ekstrom, so Mortara will be the last of the three to take the checkered flag. Here comes Ekstrom onto his last lap now. There's Mortara.
Yes, you're right.
And so he's behind Farfus as they head over the timing line looking for improvements on that lap. Mortara goes up to 7, so he's improved already with 3 personal bests. Bruno Spengler is 16th up in the middle. Sorry, he's lost time in the middle sector. He was quicker in the first. So here is Spengler working his way in the stadium. Jamie Green goes 5th. That knocked Ekstrom and Mortara down a spot. Lucas Auer has just gone 9th. Now with seconds to spare as each car crosses the timing line, the order becomes a little bit shuffled. All of this has put Wehrlein to 12th. Spengler out of the session, into the pit lane. That's him done. So in the Mercedes camp at HWA, concerned faces because Wehrlein has fallen to 12th and the sector time's not looking strong. No. Blomqvist has just gone 8th and there's a little mistake made there by Wehrlein. He's down to 13th and the flag is out.
He cannot do any more than this lap. So P13, Pascal Wehrlein.
Okay, Pascal, it's P13, P13. P1 is Martin, P2 Scheider, P3 Molina, P4 Di Resta, P5 Green, P6 Rockenfeller, 7 Ekstrom, Blomqvist on 8, Mortara on 9, Auer on 10, Peffert on 12, front of you.
Well, we're going to cut across this team radio because Ekstrom rounds the final turn now. And Matthias Ekstrom, he doesn't improve.
And here's Mortara in the background, who did a personal best in the first sector. Mortara crosses the line. Okay, he doesn't improve either.
Lap, you improved a bit sector 1. You improved sector 2. Could not repeat sector 3. I saw also Peffert exiting or entering the pits. We are P7 at the moment.
Wow. Well, the drama is heightened ahead of the race to come later because we will have Mortara and Ekstrom ahead of Pascal Wehrlein.
You'll also have Scheider, Green, Rockenfeller ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. So there's a little bit of assistance up the road. Miguel Molina is there as well. So as Dieter Gas looks on, if you were to look at this in pure driver terms, Ekstrom and Mortara haven't had that good a session. If you look at it from a brand point of view, that's a good session for Audi because numerically it's strong. Now, how's Mercedes? Because you've got Di Resta 4th, you've got Auer 10th, Peffert 12th. So they've got some cars up there to get in the mix, but not as many as Audi.
No.
And BMW don't have a driver going for the championship, but you've got Maxime Martin on provisional pole position, but Wehrlein 13th. He's going to have to work hard even to get in the points from there. He needs some good racecraft.
So Maxime Martin then being congratulated, and I suppose with so much focus on the championship and the positions of the top three in the championship in that qualifying, we've really rather lost sight of the 132.637 that has given Maxime Martin pole position.
And he's the 14th different driver to bag pole this year. The list grows and it grows. Wehrlein's race is going to be fascinating. Are Mercedes going to sacrifice people to get him up the order? Even if all the Mercedes drivers got out of his way but nobody else did, he'd still be 10th, and that's 1 point. So it's a really bleak prospect going into the first race.
Certainly been made hard, hasn't it?
And look at the resignation.
Yes.
The team, when they came on the radio, it was with a big sigh, and Wehrlein himself is frustrated. Here's the order, Dave.
Maxime Martin topped it then. P2 is Timo Scheider. Good qualifying from Timo Scheider. Back to his best, perhaps. Then it's Molina, De Resta, Jamie Green, Mike Rockenfeller, Matthias Ekstrom. P3 in the points goes from P7. Then it's Tom Blomqvist, Eduardo Mortara. P2 in the championship goes from P9. Then it's Lucas Auer, Antonio Felix da Costa, before we see Gary Paffett, and then Pascal Wehrlein, the championship leader, going from P13 for the race. And there is Eduardo Mortara then, with the car being pushed back into the garage, the number 48 machine. Eduardo Mortara going from P9. Big advantage that Audi has is the cars ahead of them, perhaps. And you're right, there's a look of resignation, isn't there, about Pascal Wehrlein as he makes his way off to be weighed. He's not going to be the easiest person to tackle for an interview, I wouldn't have thought, at this particular moment.
Just factor into this, just briefly. Jamie Green 5th, Mike Rockenfeller 6th.
Yeah.
Green on 11.25, Rockenfeller 11.27.5. Weight corrected, those two cars looking very rapid indeed. And Rockenfeller with that weight to get into the top 6, because he's on the same weight as Paffett and Ekstrom and Mortara. That's a good effort by Mike Rockenfeller.
Yeah, very much so.
Jamie Green, couple and a half kilos lighter, 1 place up the grid. Good effort by him as well.
Bruno Spengler then, who going into this 4th in the championship, will be starting way down the order, P18. And here comes the grid that David and I will take you through now ahead of the race this afternoon. Maxime Martin bags pole position with Timo Scheider, P2.
The second row is where you find Miguel Molina, and then the Mercedes alongside the Audi. This the car of Paul De Resta.
Two Audis together here in the shape of Jamie Green, P5, and Mike Rockenfeller, P6.
7th is where you find Matthias Ekstrom, one of the championship title fighters, and Tom Blomqvist, a winner this year. He's 8th.
Indeed, winning rookie Eduardo Mortara, P9. Lucas Auer goes from P10. Good qualifying from Lucas Auer.
11th, Antonio Felix da Costa, a winner this year, and Gary Paffett, a champion. He's only 12th.
There we see the championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein. Got work to do from P13, and Augusto Farfus is on the same row.
Adrian Tombe will start 15th, and the reigning champion, the outgoing champion, Marco Wittmann, is only 16th.
Extraordinary. Maximilian Gertz looked good at Nürburgring, and Bruno Spengler didn't look good in qualifying today as P18.
Robert Wickens is only 19th, and Nico Muller's Audi is 20th.
Then we see former Formula One star Timo Glock and Martin Tomczyk, the two BMWs, go P21 and 22.
And the back row is all Mercedes. Danny Juncadella, having got over his food poisoning, is 23rd, and Christian Vitoris is the slowest. But the whole grid covered by 9/10 of a second.
Extraordinary. As we see some super slow-mos here of the Belgian star at work and throwing everything at that. Oh, very nearly doing a Nick Brightwell there on 2 wheels, wasn't he? And delight there. And it's been a bit of a star, Maxime Martin, in many ways. And I know he's... Look at the rear window. Just look.
Yeah, flexing away. It almost popped out, hasn't it?
Throwing everything at that.
Yeah. I mean, for years, Maxime was one of the absolute highlights of watching Blancpain Endurance Series.
You do extol the virtues of Maxime. But
he has been a star for a long time, and now he's proving it in the DTM, which is good to see. Miguel Molina, then, who's been a winner this year, 3rd on the grid, 89 thousandths away from pole. So Audi starts 3rd, Audi starts 2nd. Timo Scheider, double champion. He's had a lousy season, but the pace is there this weekend. He's been good in free practice, good in qualifying for 2nd on the grid. But BMW will start on pole position, and it will be the RMG run car of the Belgian driver, 2nd generation touring car star Maxime Martin.
So Martin then proving once again what a talent he is. And there you can see that rear window really flexing as he chucked everything at that car. And there he is, be very, very satisfied with his qualifying performance today. We do know that once Maxime gets his nose in front, difficult to get by.
Absolutely right. So very, very happy Maxime Martin. And he will make his way now to go and talk to the team, because of course the race is only about an hour and 20 minutes or so away. There's not much time left before we can go racing in the penultimate round of the year here at Hockenheim.
So there we have it then. We'll take a look at some of the highlights. Make sure you join us for the race just a little bit later this afternoon. Bye-bye for now.
Punkte oder versuchst und von Platz 13 brauche ich einen guten Start und dann habe ich hoffentlich ein gutes Auto über den Longrun. Das ist eine Ansage. Viel Erfolg, Pascal Wehrlein, sagt der Meisterschaftsführende. Hat hier 6 Stunden steht sehr weit auf beim Klaus Buch und ich mache mal die Augen auf und wir begeben mich auf die Suche nach Timo Scheider.
Ja, das wäre auch mal schön, ihn zu hören, nach dem besten lange Durchstrecke, zumindest jetzt haben wir unterbrochen. Wir sind jetzt am Startplatz Nummer 2. Zu dem wir erste gratulieren und zu dem wir uns auch wirklich freuen, weil Timo Scheider hat nun wirklich das Dunkel des Motorsports in diesem Jahr deutlich gesehen und da gibt es auch sehr schön in hellerem Licht zu scheinen, das ist völlig klar. Und also auf der Suche nach dem entsprechenden Herren, Timo Scheider